We're biological creatures, and that dictates what our real needs are. We need clean air. We need clean water, clean soil that gives us our food, and clean energy that comes from the sun. If we don't have that, we die. We've estranged ourselves from that reality. Indeed, we don't even like to be reminded that we're biological creatures. If you say to someone, man, I watched you at the party last night, you were an animal, that's an insult, because we don't like to acknowledge that we're animals. You call someone a chicken or a snake or a worm or a pig or a monkey, these are all words of insult, because we think that somehow we're different, we're superior to that. I was at a shopping center one day and I saw a sign that said, no animals allowed. Boy, if you were a biologist and you observed that, you wouldn't have many shoppers either. We are animals. And as animals, that dictates what our real bottom line is. But we're more than just biological creatures. We're also social animals. And as social animals, we have needs, which if they're not met, mean that we can live full, rich lives. And as I've looked over the scientific literature, the amazing thing that I found was to be fully human, to have a rich opportunity. The one important social need we have is love. I mean that in the most scientifically profound way. If we look at the literature of children who've grown up in Cambodia under the reign of terror, in Rwanda during that terrible genocide, in Bosnia or in Romania, what you find is that children who are fed, clothed, and sheltered, but who are not held and kissed and told they're loved, are fundamentally crippled psychically and physically. They die way sooner than children who grow up with love. Love is a process, a reciprocal process between us and who is loving us. And in the process of loving and being loved, we learn to empathize. We learn to care about others. We learn to be fully human. But we're more than biological creatures and social animals. We're also spiritual beings. And here's something that a lot of scientists are very reluctant to talk about. But I don't think there's any question that if we have a need today, it is a need for spirit. The dilemma we face is that we have come to assume such a dominant position that we're carrying the whole weight of the planet on our shoulders. What we need is a far greater sense of spirit and our connection with nature. We need to know that we emerged out of the natural world and remain embedded in it. And when we die, and that terrible recognition that we are mortal, we receive comfort in knowing that we'll go back to nature that gave us birth. We need to know that there are places on this planet that are not just opportunities or commodities or resources, that there are sacred places. We need to have that sense, that understanding, that there are special places that we go to with respect. This is our home. This is where we were born. This is where we belong. And if we think we're just going to expand forever, destroy this earth, and go somewhere else, what does that say about us as a species? Now, the dangerous part about this belief that we've got to have steady growth forever is that it drives us on a suicidal path. And I illustrate it in a very simple way. I'm going to give you a test tube that's like the earth, full of food for bacteria. I'm going to put one bacterial cell in, and every minute that bacterium is going to divide. Okay? So at the beginning, there's one cell. 1 minute, there are 2 cells. 2 minutes, there are 4. 3 minutes, there are 8. This is exponential growth. At 60 minutes, the test tube is completely packed with bacteria, and there's no food left. When is the test tube half full or half empty? 59 minutes. So at 58 minutes, 25% full. 57 minutes is 12.5%. At 55 minutes of a 60-minute cycle, it's 3% full. Now, if one of the bacteria at 55 minutes said, I've been thinking, we got a population problem, the other bacteria would say, what the hell are you talking about? 97% of the test tube's empty, and we've been around for 55 minutes. And they'd be 5 minutes away from filling it. So at 59 minutes, they finally go, oh my God, we're in trouble. We've got 1 minute left and we're going to run out of food. So they set out, let's invest in all these biotechnologists and genetic engineers and computer experts. So they invent 3 test tubes full of food. So they're saved, right? They've now quadrupled the amount of food in space. What happens? 60 minutes, first one's full. 61 minutes, the second's full. 62 minutes, all 4 are full. So by quadrupling the amount of food in space, you buy 2 extra minutes. And when the biosphere is fixed, no amount of scientific megaproject is going to increase the amount of air, water, or soil. And most biologists I talk to believe we're long past the 59th minute. If that's true, how could it be that we're living longer, we're healthier, we've got more stuff, we've got a strong economy? How can you say that we're past the 59th minute? Well, the reality is that we're living with the illusion of abundance and plenty. We're depleting the soils, we're emptying the oceans, our forests are crashing, the atmosphere is changing. The indications are all around us. So anyone that continues to say we've got to have steady growth is just digging deeper and deeper into the legacy for our children. People often ask me, how do you keep on going? Because the story that you're telling is pretty bleak. I've made a commitment into the future. My children didn't ask to be born. They've given me great pleasure and pride. But I owe them something big time. I have grandchildren now. I have a real obligation into the future. No one could have anticipated those changes. Soviet Union vanishes. Cold War is over. Berlin Wall down. Apartheid done. So I don't think anyone today has a right to say it's too late, there's nothing we can do. I think hope is what impels us through this time. And I think of Nelson Mandela. You know, over all that period of time he was in prison, he could have at any time got out. All he had to do was turn his back on the ANC. And there must have been times when, after 15, 20 years, when he thought, oh my God, what am I doing? He had hope, he hung in there, and look what happened. So I find that very inspiring, and I don't think anyone has got the right to say it's too late. It's very easy, I think, if you're a young person, to begin to be cynical about the political process and about business. They see examples over and over again where people say one thing, but they do another. But I think youth have a number of people that can act as role models, as inspirations. For me, as a younger man, Rachel Carson certainly was one of my great inspirations. But I would think today that Nelson Mandela is a great inspiration. Even people like Sting and U2, who have done far more than just be celebrities. They have used their celebrities to try to further causes they believe in. And I think youth really has to realize that the future is theirs. They're going to inherit the planet.
My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words. Thank you.
When my daughter was 12 and gave a speech at Rio, a lot of adults came up to her and said, well, you know, you're right. We grown-ups have done a terrible job of taking care of the planet. And we look to you to make the difference. You're going to grow up and you're going to be different. And she had a very interesting double-barreled answer. Her immediate answer was, oh, is that your excuse for not doing anything? You're going to wait and let us do it. But then she followed up by saying, how can we be any different when you're our role models? You show us how to behave when we become adults. So she put the responsibility right back on the adults. And I think youth have so much at stake. That's what you've got to do. As young people, you've got to remind grown-ups of why are they in politics in the first place? Why are they so busy making all this money? Isn't it to ensure a strong, healthy future for them? I think that we are suffering today from a poverty of spirit, a poverty of community, a poverty of family. We find ourselves alienated and alone. And the great joy to me of rediscovering our embeddedness in nature is that we're going to rediscover our home, where we belong, rediscover the love that we share not only with our children and others of our community, but for other species. We are a part of this wonderful, wonderful community of living organisms, the web of life. In the last year of my father's life, this is where he loved to come. He was in a wheelchair by the last few months, but I would wheel him out here and he would sit here covered in a blanket for hours and hours. And he would just look out over the ocean, and when I picked him up to take him back to the cabin, he'd say, "I've had a wonderful day." When my father died, we threw his ashes in the wind off the rocks here into the ocean. He said he always believed that when we die, we don't disappear. After all, we're made up of atoms and they don't disappear when we die. When you spread them on the winds, then we return to nature. And he said, when you see the eagles flying in the sky, when you hear the wind sigh through the trees, when you see the salmon flash in the oceans, you'll know I'm there. And he's absolutely right, because we did emerge out of the natural world, and when we die, we return to it. We really are the earth, and we become a part of what is our home. Don't